something I'm actually interested to get your opinion on, because it's going to come
Sure.
to a point where it's going to be like, how much of a risk do you want to take?
Yeah.
Because, like for instance, my friend MJ, he's still doing shoots, and it's fine because, they're either outdoor or they're in counties that allow it, or whatever. And he's getting
Mhm.
tested after every job.
Mhm.
He's been tested more times than I have.
Wow.
And I think right before the we started recording, I told you I've been tested like 6 times.
Amazing.
And uh I did an in-person podcast with him, but I was a little scared to post it because I don't think everyone would understand. Like, me and him were both tested like right before
Oh,
that.
right. The
We
context.
even
Yeah.
had masks on until we hit the record button.
Mhm.
We were a little close together, and it was indoor, but we were separate, and we weren't face to face, so we weren't
Sure.
shooting
Sure.
germs at each other.
Right. Right.
But we were
Right.
both tested before that. But I think it's what it's going to come down to is like, how much of a risk do you want to take? Because
Mhm.
this COVID situation is not going away anytime soon. And even when the vaccine comes out, it's going to be prioritized for frontline workers, people in hospitals, first responders. It's not going to get to normal people, normal, we're not normal, but normal people like me and you. It's not going to
Yeah.
get to us for a while. Um, and and so it's going to be like, okay, well, you know if maybe we make a prerequisite that if we were to go on set, everyone has to be tested before.
Right.
You have to wear a mask unless you're on camera, or whatever the case may be. Social distance, all the normal guidelines and such. And it's going to come to a point where you just can't really wait for COVID to be over, because this COVID-19 virus is going to be around. I mean, realistically, it's going to be around forever. The Black Plague
Yeah.
just
It's
came
going to be
up
a
in
factor.
California. It's
Yeah.
just gonna it's just gonna be a matter of how many people are vaccinated, and herd immunity, vaccinations, all that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, yeah, it has to kind of spread itself around through the course of time in terms of herd immunity. I think the way you just described it is very sober and on point. I mean, there's a lot of a media drumbeat about the vaccine. Um, it's reasonable to think there will be one. I think based on the, I guess, is it the biochemistry, just the nature of the virus itself. Like HIV, I think was shaped kind of like a corkscrew. Like it was a very complicated virus. So once it got in your system, it really just wrenched itself in there, and it was just like very hard to work with. From what I understand, COVID-19 is just more like a little hook. So there's more of like, I think there's just more biochemical ways to work against it. So it's great, Operation Warp Speed, like all this pressure that's being put on developing a vaccine. I'm super hopeful for one. I mean, I constantly read about vaccines in the news, and I'm trying to be up to date. I try and be hopeful when I hear there's going to be one, but like you said, even when one comes, there's the frontline workers get it first. There's the logistics of distribution. There's going to be surprises in terms of side effects, and in terms of how effective it is, how many times people have to take it. This is going to be a huge learning curve. And I think the way you're describing production is right on point, in the sense that see, here I go being agreeable again. You'll say something, I'll just say it back to you. But that show on HBO, Euphoria, with
yeah, yeah.
Zendaya, which is an awesome show. So they got interrupted by COVID. So the
Mm.
showrunner, writer, director, showrunner Sam Levinson, filmmaker Barry Levinson's son, they went and like popped off. I think it was up in Monterey, a little movie. Just like it took them like 3 weeks, and he wrote the script really quickly in a week. And Zendaya was willing to be in it because they were already working together. So you got her; she's a star. They'll make their money back. And they probably had about 20 people on their crew, and it was within the parameters you're describing. Like you're pretty much in this environment. You're probably it's probably a good idea to go into one location, and or not just one location like a house, but like one expanse of land. Like the series Yellowstone was scarcely interrupted because they shoot on a ranch. So as long as everybody was tested and quarantined before they came into the ranch, it was fine, and they were able to continue shooting their season. I mean, it's boring because people can't go out drinking at night, and it's like it becomes like dull work. But aside from that, at least they're able to sustain and survive. So Sam Levinson, I think his movie took place in a house or a couple houses. Everybody gets tested. at that level of the industry and budget, I think everybody got tested, quarantined for 2 weeks, then they shot. Everybody, went back into quarantine for 2 weeks, then back into the world. But I keep thinking, like, if and when, more when than if, I hope, we shoot an indie production, it has to be like, all right, the location is kind of isolated, to some extent. It's not like in the mix of everything. I don't think we could do the at the indie budget level or super indie. I don't think we could do the 2 week quarantine, but just make sure everybody that sets foot in there is tested, and that's really the best you can do. And it's a hassle to even do that, when you have a lot of logistics and bodies. But I don't see any other alternative unless the vaccine is in such a state of widespread distribution and the numbers are so going down. And by then there's also X amount of treatments that are really dependable, and it's just become a manageable thing, and it's not a headline anymore, then maybe you can go shoot something and not have to think about it. But we'll find out.